Alright, it's Jeep Update 57, and in 57 I'm going to get my butt out of gear and get some wiring done. So I've kind of delayed the wiring because I just really like doing more of the mechanical stuff, and the wiring is actually going to... I'm starting to put myself in a position where I'm holding myself back because I haven't started the wiring. Even my wife Kelly said, you know, are you intentionally avoiding the wiring because you don't seem to want to do it? And honestly, I really don't want to do it. I've gone through the manual enough to believe that I can do it without any problems. It's just pretty tedious. All right, so I'm going to follow along in the Painless Wiring instruction manual. And the first thing that it tells you to do is to mount your fuse block to the inside of your firewall. And I'm not going to do that part yet, and I'll tell you why. The reason is because I have an aftermarket steering column, and I did it steering column, and it does not have the traditional ignition switch. So it's got some ignition wiring, and you've got to convert the Painless Wiring ignition switch wires to mate up with those. So that's something that I can take inside and do, and I'm only going to do it inside because it's a lot warmer in there than it is out here. So I'm going to do that, and once I get that ignition wiring done, then I'll come back out and I'll follow along with the Painless Wiring instructions.
All right, so I'm about to start the wiring journey here, and got my painless wiring instruction manual there, 100 and some odd pages of it, and I got kind of a mess laid out here, but I just did this temporarily to move inside and get out of the cold a little bit. So first thing they tell you to do is to mount the fuse box into the Jeep, and I'm not going to do that quite yet because I can wire up the ignition inside. So normally in a Jeep like this, your steering column would have an ignition switch. It's going to look something like this, and you're going to have a black and white connectors like that plug into here. Now the painless kit on the ignition part here, ignition switch. So these are all the wires that have to do with my ignition switch. These were in that white and black brackets there that would normally plug right into there. But again, since I bought an aftermarket steering column, I'm not going to be able to, it doesn't have an ignition switch like this. Let me show you what it has. Alright, this is a brand new crown ignition switch that I bought for this that I'm not going to use. So if anybody needs a ignition switch, it's not a super expensive part, hit me up and I'll mail it out to you. No charge. Alright, I'm going to do my best to show you guys this. This is the this is the I Did It ignition wiring that again replaces that ignition switch. So over here you've got a couple of relays, and then you've got your one, this is a ground wire, and then you've got these ends. And these ends are really what you need to be concerned about because this is where you need to do some wiring. So this piece right here with all these wires, this connects directly to there's another pigtail in the hanging off the I Did It steering column, and that connects to that, so you don't have to do anything with that right now. So that really just leaves you this brown wire, the red, and the pink and the purple, and those four wires will then connect to the 7 wires over here, and I'll walk you through the 7 wires. Alright, so you got 7 wires going to 4, so you've got the 2 reds so you get the red here from the I Did It part, and then the painless kit, you've got 2 reds, so the 2 reds go to 1 red. The purple from the I Did It wiring goes to the light blue, the brown goes to the brown, so the pink goes to the red and white and the yellow, and then the black wire right here is just not used in this kit. I also found this diagram online that kind of illustrates the same thing I just talked through. Alright, so again, when I got the painless kit, it did have these, the white and black connectors on these 7 wires here. And you just have to kind of put a screwdriver in there and kind of work it free, and they'll come out. And I was able to get every single one out with their connections still on, but it looks like now I'm going to end up cutting them. Alright, so if I understand this correctly, these 2 red wires, and they're both labeled on the wire, you're not going to be able to see that, but every single wire in the painless kit is labeled. These are both 934s, and this will connect to the red wire This will connect to this main power wire in the I Did It relay kit. The purple goes with the light blue here, so that gets rid of 3 wires. The brown goes to the brown in the I Did It kit, and then the yellow, and then the white, red and white striped. These 2 go together, and these 2 go to the pink wire. And then again, the black wire is not used in this kit. Alright, so I'm going to cut all those terminal ends off, and then I'll just strip the wire down, and then I'm going to solder these things together so I get a good tight connection. And I'm also going to put a little bit of heat shrink on it as well. So let's see how I did here. I got the two reds there to the 1 red of the I Did It harness, light blue to purple, yellow and red to pink, and down here is brown to brown. Alright, so I think I got those soldered in pretty good. I got the heat shrinks on them here. I'm going to go ahead and cinch those up. And this part of the wiring is done. Alright, there they are all cinched up. Look pretty good actually. I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. Alright, now that the ignition is done, I can move on and I can get this the main fuse block mounted, and it tells you that you have to drill out the holes. So that's going to be this hole and this hole, unless you want to use or reuse the factory screws. So I'm going to go ahead and drill those out and put in new hardware. Alright, well that was a real pain, but I got it at least in there. I don't have it tightened down yet, and I've got to make sure I have all the wires run in the right direction. And there's what it looks like from the firewall side. How well this will show up, but it does say to leave the clock, headlight switch, and ground on the left side of the steering column right there. So that also helps you orient where your main wiring is going to be. So I actually pushed mine through too far, and now I've moved it back. Let's see if you can see that. I know the lighting is not very good out here. Headlight switch, clock that I don't have, and the ground, which is right here. So these come back, and so that kind of positions your harness right here. And that gives you plenty of room for the fuse block, so the wires aren't being pulled, and it also clears it out of the way of your pedals. And I know you can't see that in there, but all right. So the other thing it says is to make sure you have your connection for your dimmer coming down out of the bottom there, and then up here you have a dome light and your tail harness. And I don't have a dome light either on my Jeep, so the dome light and the clock, I'm just going to cap them off, and they won't do anything. Alright, so the next step is to do the ignition switch. Now I already manually did mine outside of the Jeep, and again that's because I've got an aftermarket steering column, so all I have to do is find this line that's coming out of the steering column here and hook that up into the harness of the ignition wiring that I did earlier today. There is the bulkhead. This is the back side on the firewall, the back side of the wiring harness, and down there is the engine wiring. And this is definitely going a little bit out of order, but I want to get the engine wiring connected so I can work on that kind of at the same time that I'm doing the inside. And as the instructions say, I did put on there a little bit of dielectric grease in each one of the terminals, and they say that will help protect it from corrosion and water. Alright, let's get this thing put on.
All right, so there's the bulkhead wiring all mounted, and I had a 7/16 and switched it to a 3/8, and it's amazing what the proper socket size will do for you, right? All right, so that's about all the wiring I can stand for one video here. I didn't get very far, but actually accomplished a lot because that ignition wiring definitely kind of stumped me. I ended up calling Painless Wiring technical support, and I Did It technical support, both of which were great, by the way. The I Did It technical support guy was pretty sharp, and he led me down the right path of how to wire this thing up. And he also showed me some extra diagrams that I showed you guys in the video that I didn't have before, which obviously helped clarify things. So that's as far as I got. The next Jeep update is going to be more mechanically driven because that's my preference. And then after that, I'm going to have to get back into the wiring because I'm getting close. And like I said, the wiring is going to hold me back. So more cool videos to come. And if you like this video, if you like the content of the channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.